Self-peer assessment. Another way to carry out assessment is to involve the learners in it. In self-assessment, students have to rate their own language progress and performance. So in performance self-assessment, usually students read a situation and then they respond to it and assess how they have performed in it. In comprehension self-assessment, students read a situation and then decide how well they have comprehended that particular situation. In observation self-assessment, the learners listen to audio or video recordings of their own language and then decide how well they have been able to understand it and perform on this task. In all these performance, comprehension, observation, self-assessment, all of these, they help to give insights to the learners about how well they themselves think that they have performed in their language learning. Peer assessment involves students having access to the language which has been produced by their peers or their class fellows. This can be classified into self and peer assessment into 5 categories. So first of all, we have direct assessments of a specific performance. So perhaps it is a class test or a presentation which has been carried out in a class. So it is a specific performance. Then it could be indirect assessment of general competence which spans the whole duration of the course. It could be metacognitive assessment and it could be socio-affective assessment. So student-generated tests are also important in this context. 4 important benefits of self-assessments are that they can be developed to administer quickly. For example, the teacher can give a task to the learners, and when they have completed it, the teacher can ask the learners to rate their performance then and there within the duration of that particular class time. Another advantage is that it involves students in the assessment process, and this involvement helps the students to understand and to learn a language autonomously. So when they are given this important task to carry out their own assessment, then they become more autonomous in their learning. Other benefits are that both this involvement and the greater autonomy which comes with it can increase students' motivation to learn the target language. However, there are also some disadvantages of getting the learners to assess themselves and their peers. Scores from self-assessments may be affected by factors such as the past academic records of the individual learner. Then career aspirations, peer group, and the parental expectations may also interfere with self-assessment. Then lack of training in self-study can also reflect in when learners are assessing themselves. Further disadvantages of self-assessment are that the accuracy of self-assessments varies according to the linguistic skills and the materials which have been used for that particular task. Proficient language students tend to underestimate their abilities. They are so ambitious about their language learning that they would try to minimize what they have achieved on a particular task.